Assalamu alaikum dear students. In the series of learning C programming, we have discussed structures in C. Everything regarding structures in C have been discussed very thoroughly and minutely in the previous videos. And in today's video, we are going to discuss one more concept in C, that is the union in C. Though the union is a very small concept in C, but in today's video, we will discuss what is union, how to declare a union, how to define a union, why do we use union, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of the union. That all will be discussed very thoroughly with the help of the example in today's video. चूंकि अच्छी परान structures in C, तो पचमन वीडियो में मुझे structure क्या गो प्रत्येक चीज structures मतलब कोरे से discuss पचमन वीडियो में तो आज किस वीडियो में मुझे वो ब्याह concept C that is the union in C. आज किस वीडियो में मुझे उसकी union क्या गो उसके से define union करान इसके अच्छे union क्या चीज use करान तो उसके किस advantages तो disadvantages क्या चीज that all we will discuss it in today's video very thoroughly and minutely. I hope that now you will know, you have understood how to define a structure in C. For example, here I am going to write to define a structure here. For example, subtract student and rule number care name float marks wide man subtract student S equal to 30 A 9.4 and 9.0 you can say. Here I have defined structure, declared a structure by name student. Here subtract student. Student is the name of the structure which contains three members: roll number after integer, name after character, marks after a float. And here I have declared a variable of structure. Or we can say here I have declared a structure variable S, and also initialize it into roll number with 30, name with A, and marks with 9.0, which we have discussed it very thoroughly in the previous video. Now the question is, we know that what is structure? Structure is the collection of elements of different data types. We can say it is a different data types, different members which have different data types. Here roll number is the member of the student, which is who is data type of integer. Name is the member of this student structure whose data type is character, and marks is also a member of this student structure whose data type is float. So we know that structure is the collection of the members whose data types are different data types, we can say, which we have already discussed in the previous video. Now the question is, what is union? The union is similar to some extent, we can say it is similar to that of the structure with a little difference. We can define union in the same way as we know that structure is the user-defined data type. Structure is the user-defined data type because the user defines the structure according to this need. User-defined data structures are those structures which a user declares according to this need. So here structure is a user-defined data structure. In the same way, similarly, union is also a user-defined data type. If can structure user-defined data type, it can union the user defined data type. For example, here I will define this the difference is union student int roll number care name float marks wild man union student s equal to 30 a and 9.0. That is it. If you see this declaration and definition and this definition, you will find there is no such differences. Union and structure. Here, the union and structure seems to be similar. The syntax of union and structure is to some extent similar. But what is the difference? The difference here is, here in structure we use the keyword subtract to define a structure. In order to declare a structure, we use the keyword subtract. But in case of union, we use the keyword union. First difference between the structure and the union is that in union, we use the keyword union, U-N-I-O-N, to declare a structure. And in case of structure, we use the keyword subtract. First difference is it. Second, after that, you will see that structure is also the collection of members of different data types. Here, roll number is type integer, name is type character, marks is type float. In structure, also the roll number is integer, name is character, float, marks is float. As the structure is a collection of different data types, members of which have different data types. In the same way, the union is a collection of the members whose data types are different here. And so far as the members of the structure, as we can say, variables of structure. Here, I have declared the structure variable by using this name, structure name, subtract student s, and I have also initialized here 30 to roll number, 8 to name, and 9 to marks, 99.0 to marks. In the same way here, I have used this to define the structure variable. Union structure, complete this name, complete union structure, not only student, but union student. Complete this union student is the name of this union. And S is the, for example here, instead of S, I will declare U. U is the variable of this union. And 30 is going to store, I have initialized roll number with 30, here name with A, and marks with 90. We can say that the declaration, or we can say a declaration of variables in structure is same as that of the union. Syntax is same, but what is the difference now? The difference is in the allocation of the memory. How these members are, how the memory is going to be allocated to structure and the union. There's the difference. We know that the memory manager for this structure student, memory manager will allocate how many bytes of memory? We know that roll number, int 4 bytes of memory, care 1 byte of memory, float marks 4 bytes of memory. Total 9 bytes of memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this structure student. We know that. Because the total number, how many bytes of memory here? Int roll number 4, because we know that roll number occupies, that integer occupies the 4 bytes of the memory, and character occupies 1 byte of the memory, and float occupies 4 bytes. Total of 4 plus 4 plus 1 equal to 9 bytes of memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this structure. And for this union, how many bytes of memory will be allocated? Difference lies in the allocation of the memory. The main difference between the union and structure lies in the allocation of the memory. Here, we know that int takes 4 bytes of memory, char occupies 1 byte of memory, and float occupies 4 bytes of memory. But total of 4 bytes of memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this union student. For this union, only 4 bytes of memory will be allocated. The union allocates, for union, the memory manager allocates the maximum, the data type which have maximum highest, we say maximum by which occupies the maximum space, that memory is going to be allocated. Here, the maximum space is occupied by int and by the float. That means 4 and 4. Only 4 bytes of the memory will be allocated for this union. So we now know that the main difference between the structure and the union lies in the allocation of the memory. Here 9 bytes of the memory will be allocated for this structure, and here only 4 bytes of the memory will be allocated by this for this structure. We can say in union, the memory manager allocates the memory that are going to be occupied by the highest memory, that is going to highest space, largest space, maximum space that the data type occupies. We know that float occupies 4, name occupies 1, and roll number occupies 4, and highest is 4 bytes of memory. Only 4 bytes of memory will be allocated by this for this structure by the memory manager. Okay, that means we can now the question is how the memory is going to be shared by these members. How the memory is going to be allocated. How the memory represented. How the memory is represented. How these elements are represented in the memory. That is now going to be discussed here. So it is क्योंकि S1 की structure छ अख मुझे total number of total memory कुछ आसे 30 allocate गसान structure मगर in case of union use maximum सारी खत highest data type use तम data type सारी खत highest space आसे occupy करा अच्छा पता रो इंच करा 4 bytes of the memory occupies characters करा 8 byte of memory तो float करा 4 को highest is 4 को खाली 4 bytes of memory का संग खतर allocate union खतर. Now the question is how the variable that means this variable will use this memory. Now for example, take care. For this we can say structure. We know that this structure in memory, this is a structure. This structure contains how many members? S is the variable. S is the name of the variable. For example, here S is the name of the variable, and this is the roll number, and the name, then marks. We know that, for example, the base address. For example, the base address of this roll number is 100. Okay? We know that roll number is of type integer, and it will occupy how many bytes of memory? 4 bytes of memory. 100 plus 4, it will be 104. And the name occupies 1 byte, that is 105. And then so on, 4, that's next. We know that I have initialized here with roll number with 30, A name with A, and 9.0 with this marks. And S is the variable of type. We know that S is acts as here as internal pointer. That means it contains the address of the first byte. Address of the first byte. S contains the address of the first byte. So address of the first byte is 100. So how these members are going to be accessed? Now we know that structure members are accessed through their variables by using the dot operator. इसे पता है structure variable member इम्ति आसान कि चीज़ access करान variable सीधा ये सीधा मग using the dot operator. For example, अगर मैं use करूँ print roll number, मैं लिखते हैं print है %D %C %F sorry गोलना चाहिए S1 dot roll number comma S dot roll number S dot name S dot marks. इसके अंदर में print 30A and 9.0000. So this is the way we use here the dot operator in order to access this members of this variable of the structure. But in case of now, in how these members are going to be stored in the memory, how these members are represented in the memory. Here, as I have already told you that union, the memory managers are allocates the the memory that the data type occupy maximum amount of memory, biggest, highest, maximum, largest, have flowed. In this case, only 4 bytes of the memory will be allocated. You can see only 4 bytes of the memory can allocate for this, and it contains how many? It also contains the roll number. Next one is the name, and next one is the marks. All the 3 members now here in this case only 3 members: roll number, name, S. Now, for example, U is a better. Now points to this 4 bytes of memory. Okay, sorry, she has moved that 4 bytes of memory. For example, but now the difference is how to access this memory. For example, first here I have take now here. Here I have declared this as union U. This is a union. For example, this is the address of this 100. 100 is the base address. U contains the base address of this 100. Okay. Now S1 30. First the 30 will, through this initialization, first roll number, it will 30 will get stored, and after the 30 A, next is the name, the 30 will get overwritten, and after date 9.0. That means first 2 values 30 and A got erased, they got overwritten, and the last value 9.0. Now this SU contains only the last value 9.1, 9.0. क्योंकि यह क्या करता क्योंकि यह कैसे करता यूनियन में काम कि यूस मेमोरी मैनेजर जो सुचास मेमोरी करा एलोकेट तीज यूस हाईएस्ट डेटा सारी खत मैक्सिमम डेटा यूस तम डेटा टाइप पास एक्वायर्स करान से तीज मेमोरी करान जेतन से करान 4 बाइट्स ऑफ मेमोरी गो एवरी 4 बाइट ऑफ द मेमोरी यम सारी एलिमेंट यम आसन छ रोल नंबर नेम यम छ शेयर करान तुति ओनली 4 बाइट्स ऑफ मेमोरी आर गोइंग टू बी शेयर्ड बाय देम तो ये क्या कौन सेक्शन ये में इंस्टॉलेशन कर फर्स्ट 30 का सेटनस ऑब्वियसली वन में 30 रोल नंबर सुगा सेटनस क्या चलन विच करान 8 पॉइंट एक्सी जायत दयम गो 1 एम पता नेम खच में 8 30 का ओवररिटन क्या जी अच्छा पता है मेमोरी छ मुझ रोजान सुई वैल्यू यूस लास्ट रोजान सब ऑक्युपाई करान ये स्टोर करान छ एम ब्रहिमिन थी गसान ओवररिटन ये गो ओवररिटन एम पता को 9.0 मॉक्सन तो हम प्रोन्स गई ओवररिटन तो लास्ट वैल्यू से एटन परसिस्ट गो एंड यूस रूल एटनस महफूज दैट इज द 9.0. This is the drawback of union. Drawback क्या छ I mean disadvantage is that only the value which is going to be inserted last, which is going to be inserted last, remains there, and rest of the values which are overwritten. Now, question is why do we use the union? This is different. Why do we in nowadays the unions are not going to be used? In previous day, in before 30 years or 30 years, the unions are going to be used because at that time the memory was very costly. In order to save the memory at that time, we use the unions. But nowadays, the unions are not being used in the programming. So we can say that this is the drawback of the union. And we use the union when we want to print, when we want to process only the last value among different values. If we have 10 values and we want to process only the last value, at that time we use the memory. Because at that time memory is going to be saved. Because instead of 9 bytes of memory, only 4 bytes of memory are going to be consumed. But drawback of union is that only the last value is going to be retained in the memory. Rest of the values get us erased. They get us overwritten. So this is the drawback of the. For example, if I want to print this value, how can I print here? I will write printf %d %c %f because C here, and now u dot roll number, u dot name, and now u dot marks. Take here. By writing this instruction, what will get printed? Only the last u dot marks 9.00 will get printed. because first this u dot roll number, it will print some garbage value because there is not existing first roll number because it has been get erased. It will print maybe it will print some garbage value, and then u dot name, it will also print some garbage value, and last value that is present at present that exists in this memory location is 9.000. So the value that will get 29.00 and 6 value, we can say 6 zeros after this decimal point, it will get printed by this instruction. So here we know that now we have understood that the union, to some extent, union and structure are same. The syntax is same. We can access the structure members to the dot operator, and in the same way we can access the union members to the dot operator. Initialization, declaration of variables, or you can say definition of structure, they are same. But the difference lies only in the allocation of the memory. Difference lies only how the elements are represented in the memory. There's the difference. Now I hope now that you have understood what is union, why do we use union, what are the advantages of union, what are disadvantages of the union, and what is the difference between the union and the structure. And inshallah in the next video we will discuss another concept of C. And till next video, take care, bye bye.